Hello, my name is Benji and welcome to Dice vs Cards. Today we're looking at Massive Darkness to find out if you can bring role-playing depth to a Zombicide-esque platform. But most importantly, we investigate how darkness can become massive in the first place. So let's see how this plays and whether this could be the next game for you. In Massive Darkness, you play as adventurers on a good old-fashioned dungeon crawl through the light and the dark. 2 to 6 players pick from an equal number of fantastically titled classes, grab their starting equipment and pick a mission to have at. All of the usual role-playing tropes can be found in your character board. Places for weapons, armour and other trinkets are all there to help you on your way. You'll need to work cooperatively then to navigate the mission generated dungeon. This is a conventional dungeon crawler with a tile layout that very much leans on its cousin game Zombicide, but with a couple of twists. Firstly, the monsters and treasure you'll discover level up as you move from tile to tile, simulating what you'd expect from multiple levels of a dungeon. And secondly, they've tied some mechanics in with the name of the game, as certain abilities your heroes have will be empowered by being in a space with an external light source. Although it should be said these interactions are limited. In game you'll find rudimentary line of sight rolls, and the rooms are populated with enemies and loot by the draw of a deck of cards. Combat is similarly straightforward, where you grab a set of dice of varying strengths and roll them off against the defenders to see what damage gets through. Character progression brings with it a fair amount of choice and acts almost like a talent tree, where certain abilities need to be taken before others and only when you attain a certain level. Speaking of which, the game lends itself most to the story mode, which allows you to organically progress your character over a number of missions. But it can also be played in standalone mode, where levelling up is sped up to the max and is suitable if you can't commit to a campaign. As you'd expect, each mission will have its own objectives, but most are variations on a theme of killing minions, hunting treasure, killing bosses and staying alive. So why might you like the game? Well, I suppose its greatest appeal is its accessibility. Massive Darkness is a fully cooperative game that scales well and doesn't overburden you with too much in the way of complicated rules and interactions. There's something innately enjoyable about exploring, mowing down monsters and picking up treasure as your reward. All the while increasing the quality of your character's equipment and their innate skills and abilities as you go. In that sense, this is a comparatively pick up and play as you'll find a dungeon crawler. If you're looking for a well polished product with stacks of minis, you'll be well served here as well. The artwork, presentation and the quality of the miniatures is all of a high standard. Clearly a lot of time and effort has been put into its production. And finally, a definite point in the plus column goes to the character boards and progression. Whilst each particular hero has its own recommended class, there is absolutely no reason for you not to experiment with different combinations, with each part of your character bringing different abilities and most importantly individuality to the table. And the abundance of choice when it comes to progression is also very welcome. So why might you not like Massive Darkness? Well, to put a word to it, the whole thing feels a little lopsided. This is such an appealing game in so many ways, but where there's a wonderful sense of exploration, there's also a slightly tacked on light and dark system. Where there's excellent character progression, it's undermined somewhat by the story mode content, which is a little bit half-baked in terms of duration. And where there's an organic sense of progression over the course of a campaign, there's slightly rushed and less rewarding development in a standalone playthrough. In other words, with a little bit more time and patience in the design process, this could have been an absolute corker of a game. What we're left with instead is a very good game. One that's charm and accessibility carries it a long way, and that will appeal to those looking to dabble in a bit of dungeon crawling with a plethora of minis at your disposal. But remember, there's only so much content to use them on out of the box. One thing's for sure though, this game is begging for a sequel, one that elevates this concept from good to great. However, that's it from me. I'll see you next time. I've tried, I just still don't get it. If darkness is the absence of light and as such intangible, how can it be massive? And if you can't see it, is it even happening?